9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is well and enjoying themselves. This is Michael Voss, the Dragon of the Southern Tier. Sorry if the sound is a little off today. Trying to fix that. And as you can see, we're trying to do a lot of things here. Constantly always trying to improve, make things better for everybody as we do the program. This is the No Sound Bites Allowed podcast, and we thank each and every one of you for being here with us. You guys make it all very much worthwhile. And that's why we're here. We're here because of you. And we're having great conversations. Now, I want to mention, as you can see, there's a few things that we've changed up here. You can see that we have our donations, which you can be able to make a donation through PayPal. We really appreciate the support. It helps us a lot in everything that we do, and all the events we go to and the people that we have on, like Larry Sharp of the Libertarian Party. Yesterday, you can see the video. It was a great interview. We have interviews coming up with County Executive Jason Garnar. We have an interview coming up with Binghamton Mayor Rich David. We're looking to set up an interview with State Senator Fred Akshar. Just a few people, and also we're supposed to have an interview with New York 22nd Congressman Anthony Brindisi, and he's promised to be on the show, so we're looking forward to having that opportunity. We will bring you all of these things, and it's only because of you looking, listening here and being involved, and your donations as well, and we thank you for all of that. It helps us so much. So let's get right into it. And I'm about to start my clock because we are on the clock here to wrap up what's going on. Very simply, we're going to be talking about Nancy Pelosi. She is Speaker of the House for the second time, rare event in that. And she has, you wouldn't call it a love affair with President Trump. I'm not sure how I would describe the relationship between Speaker Nancy Pelosi and President Trump. Animosity would be one word, but I think that's a little too subtle. They don't like each other a whole lot. And as we have seen, there has been a very large disagreement over the border wall, $5 billion in funding out of the $4.1 trillion that is spent every year. Basically, if we were to make it into regular, everyday person kind of finances, they're arguing about, even though they spend $4,100 a year, they're talking about $5. That's what the argument's about. It's a rounding error. It's not enough money to be worthwhile. But yet Nancy Pelosi is having this argument. This argument is taking on a new kind of direction because in 12 days, there is going to be the State of the Union. State of the Union is supposed to be on January 29th. But because of the government shutdown, which is now in its fourth week, we know that Nancy Pelosi has suggested to President Trump that he should cancel the State of the Union, that she does not want to have the State of the Union. Now, this is important. A lot of people don't know. The president can't just, even though the State of the Union is required by the Constitution, the president must conduct the State of the Union every year, but to go into Congress is an act of invitation. So Nancy Pelosi must invite the president to come down to the House of Representatives so that he can speak before the entire Congress and the nation. And we've seen this happen every year except for three times in the last, since 1913 that we've seen this. Once was in 1944, once was in 1946, and once again it happened in 1986, which most people alive today will remember, and that was because of the Space Shuttle Challenger blowing up, and President Reagan decided to hold it off and push it back 1 week. Otherwise, it always happens. This is a formality in government, and it is normally procedural. But Nancy Pelosi is now taking the step to say it will not be. And her initial step and her initial argument was, well, we need to cancel this because she says that there's no security. That's her initial statement. Nancy Pelosi was saying that we had no way of being secure, that the president would show up and we didn't have any Secret Service, we didn't have Homeland Security, there would be no guards because the government is shut down, and so they wouldn't be able to be there to provide the security that is necessary, which sounds really nice. Like Nancy Pelosi is looking out for President Trump. Who would ever think of that? You know, the Democrats are seeking to make sure that our president is going to be safe. Who would have thought that? Absolutely no one, as it turns out, because that's just not even realistic. That's like one of the least realistic things that you could possibly hear. In fact, what many people believe is this is all about politics. It's that Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to be embarrassed because obviously in 12 days, whether it's ongoing or not, and most likely it will be, the border wall shutdown that has been going on for 4 weeks now is probably going to be going on at January 29th. Or if it is not, it is so recent, it will be so recent that it will still be a featured discussion point in the State of the Union, a conversation piece. And Democrats don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to have to discuss why a rounding error in the accounting has shut down the government for 4 weeks. They don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to discuss why Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic Party, Senator Schumer have decided that it is more important for the United States to allow illegal aliens to be able to enter the nation, to allow drugs like heroin, which have decimated the Northeast, to enter the nation, than to pay and protect the nation. They don't want to pay for all of the government workers. 25% of the government has been shut down. They don't want to pay them. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the fact that they're allowing drugs into the nation, that they don't want to secure the border of our nation. They don't want to have that conversation, which is ridiculous. Even Representative Anthony Brindisi, a freshman congressman in the House of Representatives today on WNBF, was speaking, and he mentioned that he even thought that it was ridiculous that we are fighting over $5 billion. The government, his words, quote unquote, the government should not be shut down over $5 billion. I believe Anthony Brindisi, who is a Democrat, who spoke to the president yesterday, if he believes that the government should not be shut down over $5 billion, I tend to agree with him. Nancy Pelosi does not, which may be part of the reason why Anthony Brindisi is currently having problems getting a committee because of Nancy Pelosi. Maybe that's the reason, maybe not. I don't know. And if Representative Brindisi comes on, maybe he can answer that for us. But what we can say is immediately on January 16th, right after Nancy Pelosi sent out this news announcement, surprising everyone in the government, saying that she did not want to invite the president to be able to do the State of the Union because of the concern about safety, the Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security responded immediately saying it's not a problem. They will provide the safety and the security for President Trump and for all the members of Congress. So Nancy Pelosi doesn't have a leg to stand on. This is not about safety. This is not about security, because obviously if it was about security, you don't have that worry because Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security are going to be there. So obviously everyone expected that Nancy Pelosi was going to turn around and say that, okay, well, then we're going to have the State of the Union, even though politically it's not going to be the best thing for Democrats. That's what you would expect. But instead, Newsflash. The latest bit of news that came out on the story is that there is a new reason why we cannot have the State of the Union. It's because the Secret Service, because the Department of Homeland Security are not going to get paid. Well, that is a new wrinkle. Now, considering that Nancy Pelosi has gone left, right, and center speaking about how this is not about politics, that this is about the people because it's about the government shutdown. And yet we have Secret Service members, we have members of the Department of Homeland Security that have said that they will be present, that they have already planned, as they do every year, months ago, had planned to be here for the State of the Union, that this was already done, the planning, the safety, the security, already done, so that this is not a problem. And Nancy Pelosi suddenly lost that argument. Now she jumps to, well, they're not going to get paid, and everyone should get paid. Well, the first problem with that, Nancy Pelosi, because just on the 16th, again, yesterday, President Trump signed into law a bill guaranteeing that workers, government workers, will be paid for the time that they have been out of work during the shutdown, which was expected and exactly what everyone knew. It's exactly what's happened in every single government shutdown ever. They are guaranteed to get paid for the time they have been off. So even though those workers are going to not get paid that second, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, positions that are usually not dependent on someone looking to get a paycheck, but because they believe in the nation and they love our nation, those individuals are still going to get paid. So Nancy Pelosi, again, has no argument here. She's saying this is about making sure people get paid. They're going to get paid. She says about safety. Everyone's going to be safe. There is no argument that Nancy Pelosi has at this moment that's going to prevent this. Now, you may disagree with me. Please do let me know. I'm always looking to hear your comments. You can send them to Twitter at the MV Consult. You can email us at info@vosconsult.com. You can get in touch with us at our podcast or on YouTube. We want to hear what you have to say. But doesn't it seem political? And that's the question. Is it political that Nancy Pelosi wants to stop the nation from being able to receive what is directed by the Constitution to prevent the president from doing his duty to speak and tell us the American people, what's going on, because she doesn't like the optics of the politics, because she's losing in an argument with the president that she doesn't want to give people their constitutional rights. I think that's a little bit upsetting, and that's a little bit stupid. You know, we know that they're going to get paid. We know that they're going to be there to make sure everyone is safe. Nancy Pelosi, you have no argument other than saying this is about politics and you don't like the politics. That's kind of straightforward. It's just that simple. That's the news. As of about 2.5 hours ago, she came out and said, well, you know, I want people to get paid. Well, if it's really about pay, Nancy Pelosi, then I have a shocking thought that perhaps she has not looked into. And that question would be, Nancy Pelosi, there it is. If you want everyone paid, why are you taking your pay? Nancy Pelosi is receiving pay. Members of Congress are exempt from the government shutdown. So why is Nancy Pelosi taking her pay? Donate it to the families of those who are not receiving their pay. If you're worried about the people who are going to be at the State of the Union, donate your substantial Speaker of the House pay. That's over $225,000. Donate that over to those workers who are going to make sure that you're safe and to make sure that our constitutional requirements are met, and allow the president to speak to the public and the members of Congress as is required. Why isn't she going to do that? I haven't heard that. It's kind of like Representative Anthony Brindisi and many other members of Congress have gone out of their way. They're willing to say that if there's no budget sometime in September, well, they shouldn't get paid. But while the government is shut down, they want to get paid. And they're very happy to be paid and exempt of the government shutdown that over 800,000 other Americans are suffering through. You know what? Let's stop making this about politics. Let's stop making this about pennies, realistically pennies that the government is paying. Fund the border wall. It's $5 billion. According to the United States government, that's meaningless. Fund the border wall, open up the government, and then have a conversation about whatever issue on immigration that you want. But stop punishing people, Nancy Pelosi, and stop making up answers that don't make sense. America is smarter than that. If you got a reason, have the reason, but stop making up reasons. Because every time you say it's this, and it's proven that it's not, you just look stupid. That's my thought. If you agree, let me know. If you like the content that you're hearing here in our little short speed podcast, let us know. If you will, make a donation. We would appreciate it. We look forward to it. Our goal is to get some commercials on TV this year, and you're going to be able to help us to do that by making a quick donation. Again, this is Michael Voss with the No Sound Bites Allowed podcast. I thank you all for being here with me today. And again, I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are wonderful. I want you to have a great day.